up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to make a video just briefly introducing my disabilities and more specifically how it impacts me being in my 30s, being a female in my 30s, just generally just the stuff that I feel going through and navigating disability, being a younger person. I think I'm still young-ish. I became disabled at the age of 31 and it has progressively just gotten worse. I'm currently 36, so I've had this main disability for 5 years. Not only does it take a toll on you physically, but mentally you are separated from your peers in a way, and you are constantly doing this dance of looking at what you would have been accomplishing because all your peers are accomplishing these big, you know, life events like marriages and babies and career advancements and big purchases, right? I mean, I don't know who's buying a house these days, but whatever that may look like, it typically looks like advancement. You know, the 20s are typically for the lessons, the mistakes, the getting all the, you know, fluff out of the way. And my 20s, a lot of lessons were made. So going into my 30s, I had this dream and expectation that I would reap the benefits of learning and the mistakes I made in my 20s. So when you step into your 30s and you're hit with this complete stop in life, and that's what it feels like for me personally, it was like a complete roadblock. Like, hey, we are actually not stepping into growth. We have been blocked. And I'm sorry, I laugh a lot as a trauma response, and I am aware of it, and I promise you it feels like shit. I am not trying to laugh at anything I'm going through. I just did it again. I'm sorry. But when you become disabled in your 30s, everything you have been working towards, everything you've been healing towards, everything you have been preparing for is completely disrupted. And that is it's so devastating on so many levels. All the dreams that you have, and I'm speaking in my experience, it doesn't mean everyone, you know, in their 30s is waiting to have a child or do these things. It's just my experience. This is what I was waiting for my 30s to do. But instead of having, you know, scans for a pregnancy or planning a baby shower, you're having scans for medical tests, and you're going to hospitals to have visits and planning operations. Instead of wedding planning, you're filling out disability paperwork. Instead of maternity leave, you are losing your job from your disability. Instead of maybe starting a Pinterest board to, you know, decorate your nursery, you are tracking your symptoms. It is different than what I imagined I would be doing in my 30s. And I think being young, I guess I put in quotation marks, I have been made to face certain decisions like what my care will look like. It was not something I thought I was going to have to cross so young. You know, what does it look like to need a caretaker or to be dependent on someone, to need help, to need assistance? What will it look like if my conditions continue to progress, and the help that I will need? I wasn't prepared to meet that. I was prepared to look at how it will be when I'm taking care of something, and I was trying to prepare myself to be the caretaker, right? To be the mother, to be I always wanted to be a mom. I'm just gonna let this happen because it's funny. I was preparing myself for this video last night and I was just kind of going through, and I'll make a separate video about this because it deserves separate attention. But I've always wanted to be a mom, and as I was venting to myself last night, I just kind of let myself have a cry because it doesn't happen often where I feel the weight of it. I've dealt with that grief for a long time, but last night I felt it. I'm right about to get my period, so maybe there's some kind of hormonal imbalance happening that's making me feel this too. But grief is real, and that's always been a dream of mine, and yeah, it's something I mourn a lot, so I'm just gonna let this happen. Maybe I'll cut it out, maybe I won't, but it's real. And you know, it's something that I have grieved for a really, really long time, so I typically have it together, and right now I don't. Shit, okay. My eyes are gonna get all itchy. So this also, just fun fact, I am allergic to my tears. That has become a thing. Well, maybe it's not like an allergy to my tears. I think there's something where when you start crying, it produces a lot of histamine. So I'm having a reaction to my histamine. That's why I'm like itching my eyes, because it's itchy. I'm getting there, I promise. Let's just keep going. We'll keep going. So there's a lot of FOMO, right? On one hand, I am so happy to see people living and thriving, and genuinely, like, when I see, even if it's a stranger, like, obviously I'm so proud of my friends and my family that are, like, you know, growing and healing and getting these beautiful benefits at this age. But even strangers, like, I will be crying for a stranger's gender reveal or their wedding vows. Like, I still love that happiness exists. Like, I would never want anyone to be in the bubble that I am. Like, that would just be a depressing reality. I love knowing that life and happiness are still existing, and weirdly enough, like, I like to watch it. Notice since I become disabled that I am on social media a bit more. I enjoy seeing people still living, and a part of it still gives me hope that I will live one day too. But even not, I'm still happy for those people that are living. But I would be lying if I said it's not hard. And you know, sometimes it does cause you to reflect and, you know, be aware that you desperately want those things too, and you're not able to have those things. And I know, you know, depending on what your faith or religion background is, you know, a lot of people have met me and said, like, oh, God's timing, don't worry about it. But sometimes even saying that, you know, can take away from just the frustration and the feeling that you're having. I, you know, accept that I am on my own journey, and the timing will be different for my life, but it doesn't negate that I still really wanted certain things to happen for me, and I don't know if those things will happen. I'm on my own faith journey with that, and I just like to have the space to feel and grieve. Through that, there is some healing, but I still like to hold the space for the grief. So one thing I will mention, I don't know if anyone else experiences, if you deal with medical conditions or disabilities, this is something I noticed that I do. I will collect like certain items. I'll buy certain items that kind of symbolize the dream. So for example, this happened a lot when I first became disabled. I would buy like bathing suits, I would buy like certain dresses that were meant for vacations, and the whole idea behind it wasn't that I was gonna wear a bikini anytime soon. It was that I was hoping that by buying this, one day I would actually see the vacation come true. Like when it finally happens, I'll have my bathing suit, right? So anytime I tried it on or anytime I looked at it, it gave me just a happy, hopeful feeling, because I was like, one day I'm gonna be on an island and I'm gonna be experiencing this. I did this with craft projects, you know, like I literally have a bag right now that's literally right there that's filled with wooden holiday houses that like all the girlies were having like craft nights and like painting with their girls, and I bought literally a bag of them, especially because they became discounted. But I was like, you know, next year I'm gonna have a craft night with my girls and blah blah blah. I will buy decorations for parties. Like if I see them, I'll be like, oh, that's a cool idea to have a party for this theme. And it's all with the hope that I will one day experience them. I literally have bins dedicated to like future maybe, hopefully. What I don't do, and I did this some time ago, I did start to collect baby clothes. I think I have one item that I've had for a really long time, and I think it's a bathrobe. I can't even tell you where it's at. That's how long ago it was. I don't collect those things anymore, but like I said, that's like a separate video. I can kind of go into depth with that. Okay, let's talk about love while being disabled. So as I mentioned, I was in a long-term relationship in my 20s. It ended at the age of 30. It kind of did a little dance back and forth for a minute, and then it finally went away. I, pre-disability, was very, very hopeful that I would meet my Lomo, right? I'd meet my love of my life in my 30s, and I'd have a redemption arc. I was gonna have my Sierra moment. Like, I was on my redemption team. Life had some plans. I don't, you know, while I'm here, I still hold space that I'm hopeful. Maybe one day, you know what's insane? Maybe one day on this channel, I'm gonna be like, yo, hey, what's up guys? Meet my Lomo. Right here. But love while being disabled. Oh, you know, I have briefly had some dating situations with a few different people, and those experiences have been very interesting. I have not dated any of them past the dating phase. None of them were long-term for good reason, or just even for compatibility reasons. I feel like my discernment is much better now. Shout out to that. But what I have found in my experience is that I tend to view my disabilities worse, right? I tend to view myself as undateable. Is that a word? So I'm constantly projecting onto a person like, you can't handle this, you couldn't be with me, you would be sad if you had to be here. And I know, I can hear my therapist right now, I know where some of that stems from. And again, in prior experiences in my relationships, I have had issues with being told that maybe my medical conditions were too much for them to handle. So I get where some of that comes from, but I do project that onto people that I am dating. I will immediately feel that this is not something that a person can handle. And don't get me wrong, it will take a strong soldier to be a supportive partner, to be a true supportive partner to anyone that is dealing with a different life. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You know, regardless of whether they were a good person or we weren't compatible, I've had certain people that I've dated that have been absolutely phenomenal to responding to my disabilities. And this is all just dependent on the person, right? So I've literally had someone who has gotten really, really angry with me if I couldn't hear them the first time they were asking me to do something. You know, again, I wear earplugs and headphones. More recently in the past year, it's been double, but I've always had to wear at least one of them for the past 5 years. So I cannot hear people a lot of times. I'm trying to get into the habit of reading lips. I watch everything on subtitle. I purposely have to turn down the noise to live my life. So it is inevitable that I will not hear you. I will not hear things you say. And sometimes I don't want to make a fuss about it, so I'll just pretend, and I'm like, oh. Like, everyone I feel like does that, but I do it a lot. So, you know, I have been in situations where a person has asked me to do something and I didn't hear it, or I misinterpret, you know, what they've asked me to do. So, you know, I end up doing it and they get very angry. Versus I have been with someone who the first time I didn't hear them immediately said like, hey, I will repeat myself as many times as you need. Like, this is not a problem. Do not think this is a problem. And just that reassurance that like, I am not a problem. And it just takes a different person to understand that and to be supportive in that way. So I don't want to shoot down the idea of love, but I know that there's some things that I project and I feel that I'm a lot, but may not be true. There could be a very special, perfect person that is meant to fit me. Kind of briefly touched on so many different things that I want to expand upon in further videos and break down of the different disabilities, and specifically, you know, certain experiences I feel with grief regarding some of the things I fear that, you know, may not happen, or maybe I hold hope and space for maybe it will happen, but I'll try to touch upon that in future videos. Overall, you know, being disabled in my 30s has shaken my identity a bit, right? I had these dreams, I had these goals, I had a vision of what I thought life would look like, and not only has it taken a turn, it's taken another turn and another turn, and we've hit a dead end and we've come back, and we've hit the bottom, we've come up. It's taken so many turns that constantly feel like a never-ending cycle of grief. And it sucks because every loss is a new grief cycle. Every dream paused or changed or lost feels like a new wave of grief that you are constantly processing and adapting. If I hear that word one more time, I have adapted until I've been blue in the face. I am tired of adapting, my God. So anyway, let me know if you guys have any questions, or if you yourself are going through a similar journey, if you're supporting someone who's going through a similar journey. This is a very niche experience. Just be a lonely experience to have. It can be a very isolating experience to have. Anyway, there is still so much to unpack, and we're just getting started. So I'll see you guys in the next video.